Starfield is one of those projects that could be a make or break thing for Bethesda, and before you get upset at me, what I mean by that is, it's really Bethesda Game Studios' first IP in 25 years, as they are commonly known for Elder Scrolls and Fallout. So it's only rightfully so that the gaming community is going to obsess over it because this is a big deal. And with all that being said, the man, the myth, the legend, Todd Howard himself has given us a lot more of a look into Starfield in a recent interview. So we're gonna talk about 10 or so new things that we've learned about Starfield. Welcome to the Lumberjack Gaming channel, your place for friendly, quality gaming content. Now I recorded the entire thing and realized my camera settings were messed up. So today you got my little guy here. If you clicked on this video, I'm sure Starfield is not a new concept to you, so we're gonna talk about some things that we've learned recently from Todd Howard himself. In this recent interview, a conversation about modding came up, and Mr. Howard was more than elated to talk about it, because he specifically said that Starfield will be a modder's paradise. It's definitely easy to say that the Elder Scrolls and the Fallout series are some of the most moddable games in history, and Starfield is no exception to that. He went so far as to say that it will be easy to mod Starfield because they know that their community centers so highly around modding. Not only that, but he said that there will be opportunities for people to make a career out of modding Starfield. So maybe that means that there will be some sort of revenue split with modders in Starfield. We don't know exactly what that means, but he's very, very happy to share with us that modding is going to be like top tier in Starfield. Now this may be a fact that we already knew, but they've told us before that there will be around 1,000 planets for Starfield, but most of those are going to be procedurally generated. Now there is one new number that we got for sure, and that's about 10% of these planets will actually have life on them, which obviously leaves a good amount of planets that are just gonna be for resources, maybe exploring and finding some new weird things. But that's just gonna be more exciting when we find that 1 out of 10 that does have a planet that is teeming with life. Not only that, but each planet could have multiple biomes, so you're not just going to get a swamp planet and that's it, or just a desert planet and that's it. You could have planets that have multiple, which means that some of these planets that have life on them, you could be seeing a very diverse group of animals and plants and flora as you're exploring. Now, just because these things are procedurally generated does not mean that things aren't handcrafted. In fact, Todd Howard shared that this has the most handcrafted location than any other game that they've made before. So while you might think that exploring 1,000 mostly procedurally generated planets is going to be boring, there's still going to be a huge, huge variety in these handcrafted locations that we visit. Moving on, and in a very No Man's Sky type way, these different planets are going to have different dangers, so that may be extreme heat, extreme cold, desert sandstorms. It can be a number of different things, and your suit is going to protect you from these things, and you will be able to use skill points to actually level up your suit so that you can survive in these areas even better. So maybe at first you're going to have to take a lot more shelter or spend less time on the surface of a blistering heat planet. As you continue to progress throughout the game, you should be able to last in these areas a little bit longer. And in my last video that I shared, there is an option that you can basically take your suit off in areas where you can actually breathe. While we haven't really seen this in the marketing, we have been able to see it in the UI when you're customizing your character. While we talked about this a little bit in my last video too, the ship customization is incredibly in-depth. They even went as far as to say as it's mostly geared towards mid to later gameplay because of just how modular every single thing is. Like every single aspect of your ship is customizable, and every ship that we've seen so far in the trailers have been made in this exact same modular system. So there's no ships that you're going to ever experience that you can't essentially recreate. That being said, if you take over an enemy ship, you are still going to have to pay some sort of resources to essentially put it into your fleet and use it and to register it. If you found this video to be helpful so far, do me a favor, just click that like button. You know, we would love to have you here at the Lumberjack Gaming community. Now, when it comes to the areas of customization, you are also going to have access to an outpost. While I really liked the idea of this that we experienced in Fallout 4, I think that Starfield is going to do it a lot better. You should be able to place your companions in your outpost, as well as having animals and plants that are going to continually offer you resources. There is also a very, very large range of things that you can customize in your outpost, so you can make your buildings on the inside look exactly the way that you want them to. You can use these outposts to again, grant you resources to help you continue out through your journeys throughout the stars. You'll also be able to level up these skills that relate to your outpost as you level up your character. and there will likely be different backgrounds that you can use that are going to offer you help if you want to focus more on growing your outposts throughout the game. Now, one of the things that they've teased throughout the earlier trailers is that you will be able to have romantic relationships in Starfield. Now, what has been confirmed is that there is actually going to be 4, and they are all related NPCs to Constellation, which is kind of the main group that you're working with throughout the story of Starfield. Not only will you have these 4 romance options, there will be 4 separate missions that will allow you to go down those routes. Now, with that being said, your relationships with your companions will evolve and change based on the things that you do or you don't do. If you do something that's going to upset one of your companions, they will remember that. Now, obviously, this isn't a new concept to these types of games, but it's definitely been implemented into Starfield. In the same interview, Todd Howard made it clear that their goal was to make everything as realistic as possible. Now, you might look at me and say, Zach, this is a space exploration game set in the future with, magical artifacts. How is it supposed to be realistic? The point is that there's nothing that's overly fantasy in this game. Now, obviously, we see that we have some sort of strange force powers that relate to the artifacts that we're looking at with Constellation. However, the whole goal was to keep in mind of how far humanity may have evolved in the time where this game is set. So things are still somewhat realistic instead of everything just being like overly alien and mystical and, high fantasy or even high sci-fi. The developers have also said that the inspiration that they really were going for was based off of Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, I also think it goes without saying that there seems to be a lot of inspiration that was pulled from something like No Man's Sky. However, the idea of getting in a world, getting lost in the immersion of the world and the storytelling elements, Bethesda has said that Red Dead Redemption 2 has been a huge inspiration for them when creating this game. One of the craziest facts about Starfield that I definitely needed to mention was the fact that there are more dialogue lines in this game than Skyrim or Fallout 4 combined. Guys, this game is going to be massive. And the idea is that this game is not something that you play for 30 hours. It's something that they are trying to get us to play for years to come. And with them making modding such an easy thing to do and encouraging people to do it, it's just only going to add to the replayability of Starfield. Now, when it comes to some of the technical things, there is real-time lighting and weather throughout the game. So what that means is when the sun is setting, the shadows are going to perfectly reflect that. When there's different weather things that are going on, again, the world reacts to that, so you don't just have these static lighting and static textures, that everything around is moving and kind of evolving with the things that are unfolding around you, which is really cool. And obviously, one of the most controversial things is how the game is going to perform. Because on the Xbox Series X and S, the game is going to be capped to 30 frames per second. Now, obviously, this has sparked a lot of controversy, and I'm sure there are going to be people who are not going to play the game based off of that. However, it's also important to know that the Xbox Series S will run at 1440p, and the Xbox Series X is going to run at 4K. Now, if you're a PC player like myself, these things don't really affect you. However, it's still important to note. Guys, Starfield is rapidly approaching us. There's going to be a lot more to cover, so make sure to keep it here. Make sure to like this video if you thought it was helpful. And as always, hit that subscribe button if you want to be part of a gaming community of people that just want to uplift each other, have a good time gaming, and keep it family friendly. That being said, you can check out my previous video that I kind of covered everything over the Starfield Direct over here, and I'll see you in that one. Other than that, keep it here at the Lumberjack Gaming channel for more Starfield and all things gaming.